Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead for Porch Time today. I guess we'll just, first of all, we took Wanda to the doctor yesterday. She had some more gallbladder tests ran. We're waiting to get the results from that, see if she actually has a gallbladder issue, or if it's something else, if we need to look in some other direction. So it's just a waiting game. It's a little frustrating to her right now because she is uncomfortable and can't really find out any reason why. But that's where we are. You know, she's just glad that they said she didn't have a heart attack, that there's no heart damage, she has no heart problems. They're saying she is very short-winded now. We're kind of hoping that it's just a simple fact that she's given so much medication while she was in the hospital that this stuff's just got to wear out of her system. That's kind of what we're hoping for. But you know, we're moving forward, trying to here, because we're bowed up. I mean, I'm still sitting here in my overalls and my shirt. I just had to run in for just a moment to actually make this video. Kind of fairly nice weather today. It's overcast and a little bit breezy. It's kind of warm. It's in the 80s, but it's not unbearable at this moment. We just ran through town and picked up a few things for gardening that we needed, and a few not seeds, but feed for the animals. And we kind of had a tragedy on our homestead here. I went out to the barn and found my female sheep dead out there. I'm not sure what happened to her. You know, it's one of those things on a homestead that she was perfectly fine the day before, eating and, you know, doing everything she normally does. And now we don't have a female sheep to go with our ram, so the ram is running around. He's a black-faced dorper. He's just lost. I mean, he's just bellowing and bellowing and bellowing. You probably may even hear him here in a few minutes. I mean, he doesn't know what to do with himself because he's by himself. And so it seems like when it rains, it pours sometimes. But that's life on a homestead. You know, we're not guaranteed anything. So I guess in the near future, we'll either be looking for, Wanda's always wanted a black-faced dorper female instead of a Katahdin. So it might be that we may have to look in that direction if we can even find one. The problem has been finding things like that here, because nobody around here has anything like that. And the one guy that we got the ram from has a female, but she's kin to him, and you know, we don't want to get anything from the same herd. So we're out of sheep now. So that's one of the things that's going on here. And I want to say thank you to all those that sent prayers up for Wanda. Again, I know I made a video the other night, went live and said thank you, but y'all will never know what this means to Wanda and I, because what this tells us is that the goal we set out to do, we have succeeded at. Because as I mentioned the other night when I talked to y'all, was our goal all along was to create a community of people that could lean on one another in hard times. And we never anticipated it might be us. I mean, we was always thinking about y'all being able to find people in your area, so if you have a problem, they could come help you. We didn't do it for our own, you know, for our own benefit, but nevertheless, God has shown us that our efforts has worked, and we are so thankful. Literally, we are. We're thankful that for all the blessings that y'all have bestowed towards us, and I don't guess there's any way for us to really say thank you enough for what y'all have done. It's really been a blessing. I know when we went to the hospital yesterday for Wanda's test, we went in there and actually got there, and the funny thing is, if we hadn't had some of the money that some of y'all sent, they wouldn't have let her took the test. Because they told her that she had to have at least half of the money up front in order to have the next procedure done. And Wanda just looked at me and she said, "Thank God that people gave, and we were able to get this test done." And so we don't know what else is coming down the line. We don't know how many more tests we got to have done, but we're just still looking for answers, and we're thankful for y'all for having made this test possible, because it was because of y'all. Had it not been for y'all, I guess we would have had to just turn around and come back home, because they didn't mention to us that we was going to have to pay for anything. The doctor just said we had to schedule for a test Monday morning at this hospital, and we drove an hour to this hospital yesterday morning to get this test done, and then, you know, thankfully we had the money to get it done. Things has sure changed from the way they used to be, you know. Wanda and I were talking about that on the way back, how that when we were younger, in our 20s and 30s, you could go anywhere and get a procedure done. You didn't have to worry about a lot of stuff. I mean, they'd do the procedure and they'd tell you they'd send you a bill, not worry about it, you know. But man, I know I've had to not get a lot of my tests done here recently because we just didn't have the money to go do them, and I've just had to, you know, live through my own. So, but with her, you know, she's my bride, and if I have to let something else go, I got to make sure she gets taken care of. And you know, as I always told her, it's kind of funny. My dad, the way I was raised, let me put it that way. My dad always told me, "Son, you're just a machine." You know, and that's the way I've looked at myself my whole life. And Wanda keeps telling me, I'm worried about you, you know, I'm worried about you. And I told her, I said, "You don't worry about me, I'm just a machine." You know, I've been through so much in my life, and I just keep going. And I told her, I says, it might come to some point in my life where I'm like a machine, I break down. But up to this point, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing what I can do as long as I have the physical ability and the mental status to do what I do. I mean, you know, I do suffer from flashbacks occasionally from things that I've experienced in my life. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to hide that. Wanda knows that because she has seen it happen. And it is a little scary sometimes, because it almost happened to me in the emergency room when I saw her blood pressure drop and, you know, everything just kind of went across the line there. I turned and walked out of the room and almost had a flashback at that moment, because I had already lived that once in my life. But luckily I was able to recompose myself and go back in and be there with my wife. But that's life. You know, I mean, we have to understand that is life. We have been so, I don't even know what the word is in this country. We've not seen the processes of life, how they really happen. That's been hidden from us for several generations. The older generations were very familiar with these procedures about how life worked, you know. I mean, as I was in the room with several different people that they've passed away, you know, I know about procedures of life leaving a human body. I know about the death rattle and all these kind of things, and about how that the extremities cool down. You know, the hands and the feet are things that you don't need to stay alive, so the body in the last moments of life begins to pull blood away from that and oxygen and try to move it toward the core temperatures of the body, and you can actually feel the bottoms of people's feet and their fingers and stuff like that, and you know how close the time is getting for them to leave this world. And you know, these are things that the old people knew, and they taught each other that. The children were taught that, all kinds of things. But now those things are hidden from us, and we don't really know the processes of life anymore. And then that's kind of sad that we don't know. And that's what makes us so vulnerable to life itself now in this country. We've been sheltered from so many different things. And But you know, I'd like to say thank you also for those of you who have sent money and designated it for the RV, because you know, I'll just be perfectly honest with you. The RV is a project. It'll probably never leave here, to be honest with you. It may, I mean, we may go a few miles down the road here to one of the lakes or something, but as a whole, it'll never go on the road to go across country, I don't think, unless Wanda and I, something happens and we see a need to do that. But right now, because of all that was going on with Wanda and things, the RV has been my saving grace, really, because it gives me a place to go and to tinker and to take my mind off of what's going on. And because some people has donated some money, I've been able to get a few things to go on it to give me a project to do, so that I'm not just, you know, like in the middle of the day when it gets too hot and I can't go out in the field to keep myself occupied. I'm able to, I got the RVs parked in the shade, I'm able to go out there and you know, work on the RV some, and it's kind of a sense of fulfillment for me to be able to do that, and it gives me a sense of accomplishment, and plus it gives me a chance just to unwind. I know to a lot of people it's work, but it's not work to me. To me, it's a way of relaxation, because construction was my life for most all of my life, and now that I can't do construction, I get bored really easy, and it gives me an avenue of hope and allowing my mind to still go back and work and do the things and design and do the things I used to do as a younger man. So the RV has been a blessing to me in that aspect, because Wanda really realizes it. She goes, man, I see a new zeal in you that I haven't seen in a long time. Now that you have a project to work on, she said, I've watched you build cabinets before, and she said when you get a little job like that and people, you jump in there and boy, you get to doing those cabinets. She says you're at your best at that point. You're on, you know, she uses the phrase, it's like you're on cloud nine. You're back in your element again, and you're doing the things that you know how to do and you love to do, and it makes you a different person, gives you a different personality, and that's what the RV has done for me, you know. And so that's why I want to say thank you to those of you who have actually sent money and designated it for the RV, because that's been a blessing to us. And we'll be giving y'all some updates on some of our gardening stuff here probably pretty soon, because the English peas are all up if the heat don't kill them, because it's up in the mid 80s and fixing to be in close to 90 this week. If the heat doesn't affect them too bad, we've got some beautiful English peas right now. The rabbits ate off a lot of them, but they came back out from the ground. Actually, instead of having one plant come up, they came out in multiple stems, and now I've got just big bushes of English peas, and you know, maybe that was God's design all along to maybe give me more. I don't know, but they really look pretty right now. And Wanda and I have got some beautiful collards. We've been eating them things, and boy, they're just so good. You know, some people say they can't stand to be in the house with them when they're cooked and stuff like that. Well, ours, we don't have that problem. I mean, even Julianne, when she was here, she went up and picked some of our tender greens and some of our kale and stuff like that, and she was talking about, she said, these are so different than what we grow. She said, when we cook ours, they like go to mush. They don't have any texture to them or anything. And she says, yours tastes so good, you know, and you know, I mean, you got to understand, these are seeds that I've had for many, many, many years. Gosh, the mustard, I don't even know how many years I've had those mustard seeds. Probably 11 years maybe, or a little bit more. I've been saving my own seed, and they're so acclimated. Actually, the things will actually grow in the heat here, which is amazing, you know, because I've had people come by and I've had them growing in the summertime, and they go, "What kind of plant is that to grow in the heat?" And I told them, I said, "Well, if you can keep the bugs off of them, it's mustard, you know." And they would take some and eat them and come back and tell me, "Man, I got to have some of those seeds," you know. And so, you know, and I've, you know, Dirt Patch said that they were definitely different than what they were used to. So maybe they are different. I don't know. I've never ate greens from anywhere else up north or anything to know if there is a difference in texture. So if I just have to go on what people tell me. So we will have some updates on that, some of that kind of stuff going on. And we've got our Irish potatoes are actually finally coming up pretty decent and making some potatoes. You know, some of the plants, we don't know what it is. Now, we know there's some fire ants around some of them, but some of the plants are just wilting down and dying. And when I go to dig them up, there's just ants all around them, the fire ants. So it's possible that the fire ants are eating the cambium layer off at the ground, and the plants just wilt over and die. But when they do that, we go ahead and dig the potatoes right then, because if we don't, the ants will eat the potatoes because of the moisture in them. And we're able to have a few new potatoes along. And I'm going to tell y'all something. There ain't nothing in this world that tastes as good as a new potato. When you take it out of that garden, bring it to the house, wash it, put it right in a pot, and cook it for dinner within the hours, the sugars in that potato have not had a chance to turn to starch. And that Irish potato tastes 100% different than it does if you let it set for a day. You know, I mean, Wanda and I were talking about that. She says, "Wow, these potatoes taste almost like they've got sugar in them." And I told her, I said, it's because the sugars in the potatoes have not turned to starches yet. And it's amazing the differences in them. And, you know, we've got snap beans, they're up about this tall in the pots, but now what we planted in the new garden back there, you know, most of them did not come up. They're sporadic. And it looks like, for what Wanda and I do, we don't know yet, but it looks like we planted 51 or 52 pots of snap beans. And based on what came up and what we have at this point, it looks like it's going to be a failure for us. Because right now, 52 pots of snap beans, or green beans, whatever y'all want to call them, is not going to provide us for what we need for a year. And we've screwed up this year. I mean, I have to go ahead, I'm just going to say it, because it's too late to replant now green beans here, because the heat's going to get them. So we decided to experiment with the pots, and it's bit us in the tail, you know. So we're going to have to chalk 2017 up unless something happens with these in the pots and they just all of a sudden do something miraculous. We're not going to be able to can what we need for the year. You know, green beans, we're used to canning about 200 to 300 jars of them every year, quart jars, so we got enough to last all year. And I just don't see any way at this point. We might get 20, 25 jars maybe if they make. But only time will tell. We're praying and we're hoping that, you know, that this container gardening might work for us. But it looks like, from the results I see now, it looks like it's probably not going to be the way for us to go to have enough to can. The plants are beautiful right now and they're starting to bloom, but 52 pots with 4 plants in each pot is just not enough plants. You know, I mean, if you're eating a few meals off of them and you're trying to can 15 or 20 jars, you know, it might be the way to go. But it's one of our staples here. where we need at least 200 jars minimum, it's not going to work for us. So, but it was a learning experience, and we'll get by, because this year we still have enough in the cellar, because one year I canned, I think, 500 jars out of my regular garden, and we have enough jars left over from years past to subsidize 2017, because to be honest with you, we're just now eating all of 2011's snap beans. So we're not hurting, it's just that somewhere down the line, you know, it will eventually catch up with us. So that's going to be an update that we have coming. We'll be talking about that. We just planted the manna corn. That is, you know, Carol, I don't know how you say her last name, if it's Depp or Depi or however you say it. Lady has a book that she's written, and it's a good book. But the manna corn is something that I saw, I read in a magazine. I read the article in a magazine about a year ago about the corn and her developing it, and it was supposed to be excellent for making flours and breads and stuff like that. And corn flour is a gluten-free, well, it has a certain amount of gluten in it, but it's a gluten-free right now that it's a grain that I can tolerate right now. And Wanda and I have to buy corn flour, and it doesn't settle with me well, the flour that we buy. But if I grind my Danny corn and make corn flour with it, I'm able to tolerate it. But supposedly this manna corn, you can grind it and actually make pancakes and stuff out of it. And of course we use Danny corn, we make hoe cakes and you know, all kinds of hush puppies and things like that out of it, squash puppies and things like that. But I told Wanda, I said, you know, I need to try this manna corn just to see, because it looks, if the articles are accurate, and if this lady's, you know, if her information's accurate, then it will turn out to be a real good corn. So we'll carry y'all along on that journey as we grow this stuff, and just see if it even comes up, and see how it does here till I get it actually acclimated to this climate, because she's in a completely different climate than what I am, and it's which kind of it's a little bit, that was a little bit concerning to me maybe, but I knew if I could get up enough that I could start saving my seed. It might take me a couple of years to actually get what I'm wanting out of it, but it will let me know if it's something that I want to pursue after the first year once it dries, if I can keep the insects out of it. See, that's the big issue here, because if it's the least bit soft, that's what I battle with sweet corn. I battle this with even with Danny corn, some of the white ears on it that come into it is weevils. You know, anything here that's really a soft-grained kernel, the weevils would just go after it like crazy. So, and we don't use chemicals here, so not to spray anything with. So we just plant enough for us, the bugs, and nature usually, and try to do the best that we can do. So hopefully the manna corn is going to work out for us, and we're going to be able to, you know, maybe have some if y'all ever want any seed from us, you know. But I want to be able to test it and prove it before I actually tell you what it will do. That's one of the reasons I'm trying this new variety. So our fingerling potatoes, the rain we had here a while back, the bad thunderstorm kind of destroyed a big portion of them. There's a few of them still left, and we're going to leave them. But our fingerling potato harvest is not going to be what it needs to be this year, so we're going to be way down on that also. So it's we've kind of had several whammies hit us here at one time. You know, with the snap beans and with the fingerling potatoes, the loss of the sheep, these kind of things are starting to happen to us. And I went to check my Creole tomatoes, and because we've been gone for a few days, not being able to do what we need to do, I've lost about half of them. I actually lost more than half. I drove sticks around a while ago for stakes, and I think I've only got like 10 out of 30 left. So the Creole tomatoes this year, we're going to be a little bit slack on them. I was noticing I've probably lost about 10 of the 75 Amish paste that I set out to crickets from being in the leaves that I piled around them. So we're gonna be short a little bit on that. Our yellow pear tomatoes are they're still doing okay. The Roma tomatoes are already almost 3 feet tall. I mean, them things took off. They look beautiful, but I don't know if I'll get enough from them to do what I need to do. Because, like I said, we like to keep around 300 tomato plants, and I'm not going to have that this year. So Wanda and I are actually trying to decide what direction we want to go in, as to far as, with her health being like it is now, and because believe it or not, she's a big part of what we do around here. I cook, like we told y'all before, I cook breakfasts every morning, and sometimes I cook supper, and I'll help wash dishes and do different things because she comes outside and she helps me, and we're a team. We work together. And now that she's incapacitated, it leaves the whole load outside on me, which is okay, because it's no different than what I've ever had to do. I've always had to do it by myself until me and her married. But I realize that at some point I've got to figure out a better way to do it so that I can still be successful and raise enough food for us to make it for a year, because for us, that's what it's all about. We have to put up anywhere between 12 and 1,500 jars of food a year in order for us to have enough food to make it through a year. That's just for 2 people. If you have more than 2 people, then you'd have to do more than that. Now you could do less than that and go to a store and buy food to supplement with. But see, Wanda and I, we don't usually supplement too many things out of the store. I mean, right now the one thing that we're supplementing out of the store is onions, because we don't have any bulb onions right now or anything of our own place, so we have to buy some bulb onions. I mean, there are a few things like that we still have to supplement, but any kind of peppers or tomato or, we only eat in season. Let me put it that way. We try to only eat in season. Like when cucumbers come in, we'll eat our only cucumbers in. We don't go to the store and buy them any other time of the year. If we have some canned, then we'll eat those. But like peppers, we usually have peppers here year round. Even if we have to put them in the greenhouse, we have fresh peppers. But we also put them in the freezer so that if we're cooking soups or anything like that, we can get them out and put them in the soups. Carrots is something that we try to raise a lot of in the fall and winter, because carrots is another one of our staples here. It's part of our diet because we've learned how to do it and do it well. And we've learned that summer carrots here are bitter because of the heat, so we don't grow them. We don't plant in the spring. Now, we do have some in the bed that we planted last fall that are still growing, and we will continue to eat on them until they're completely gone this summer. Because, see, carrots are actually a 2-year crop to get seeds out of them, so they'll actually keep growing all summer and grow back into next winter, and they'll grow on to next year and make a seed head. But we have a bed on the other side of the house out here that is for our seed carrots. I'll go through in that bed, and last year I harvested what carrots I wanted out of it, and I left some, only so I'd have seed for this coming year. So they're a biennial, they do seeds every 2 years. Onions are the same way. We have a bed of onions out here on the hugel bed that we never harvested. We left them in the ground because this will be their 2nd year, and onions make seeds in the 2nd year. So that we have projects like that going on all the time, so we have our own seed. Right now we have red romaine lettuce and we have green romaine lettuce going to seeds because we try to keep our own seed from our romaine lettuce also. We have Chinese lettuce that's gone to seed. We have that drying. We have garlic right now that's gone to seed. We're letting that dry. We have garlic chive seeds that are drying. You know, there's an array of different things we have going on here. We're trying a new plant this year. I think we put on one of our videos. It's called butter peas. Wanda and I had those when we were kids, and we have not had them in probably 30 years. And we finally found some the other day. So we planted those this year in hopes that we would get some butter peas. They're an heirloom variety. Just to say we have the seed again, because we had lost those seed. We didn't have any, and it used to be a common plant on a farm. So that's just a little bit about what we got going on, and you know, Porch Time's not anything in depth today. Just want to say thank y'all mainly for helping out with Wanda and your prayers, and you know, for those of you who donated to Wanda's cause, and those who specifically requested that their money be spent on the RV. They must have known that was my out. I never said it was, but I guess they must have known that. And thank y'all for that. And that's just basically what I wanted to do on Porch Time today, was just be thankful and tell y'all a little about where we're at, what's going on. And Wanda's still having some problems, but I think we're going to eventually work our way through them. I believe God will take care of that. So that's where we're at with that. And I'm going to just let it go at that today and tell y'all thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of Deep South Homestead, because y'all are Wanda's life. Wanda loves editing movies. She loves doing YouTube. She loves communicating with y'all back and forth. As a matter of fact, she's on the phone with somebody right now. That's who Wanda is. I mean, Wanda is a people person. She loves people, and for her to do YouTube and to answer questions and do live streams and chat with people, y'all make her day. So it's just like Julianne said, when Christmas time come around and all the people sent presents, Wanda's like a big kid. I mean, she come out of a relationship where she never got anything but just abuse, and now that she's with me, she's doing YouTube and stuff, and she gets these gifts every now and then. She's like a giant kid. So and it just thrills my heart, you know. And thank y'all for all of y'all who sent her gifts and stuff like this. That meant a lot to me, to see people care about her that much, and it means a lot to her. So whether y'all know it or not, y'all are tremendously loved by her. So I want to tell you that. So I'm gonna stop there. We've got some people fixing to show up here in a few minutes to visit with us. Thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.